Hello, surprise video. I know, I'm also surprised by it, but Fabrizio Romano has released a fairly significant update on Leeds United's transfer plans, because Leeds are now in the race for, and I'm going to have to read my notes for this one, Tarek Muharemovic, who is a Bosnian centre-back that currently plays for Sassuolo. Before I get into all of that, first, apologies, I'm not at my normal setup. I'm round at the in-laws' house for the England versus Norway match, hence being in my sister-in-law's room. But that's fine. Also, if you want to support the channel, I'd usually appreciate you liking and subscribing and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to dive into the main bulk of the story because that's what's important here. So, Tarek Muharemovic is a 23-year-old centre-back that is currently at Sassuolo, as mentioned, and has been performing very, very nicely in Serie A, which means that he's attracted the attention of a lot of different clubs. This isn't just Leeds United, and it's not just his former club Juventus, but it also includes the likes of Bournemouth and Sunderland, which means that he is one of the more in-demand centre-backs around at the minute. Juventus are one of the interesting ones to keep an eye on, though, because Juventus sold him to Sassuolo for about €2 million, maybe last season or the season before, something like that. Sorry, again, I'm recording on my phone, so I can't really do the sort of live research stuff that I normally do, and I've completely forgotten to write that specific bit of information down. But rather than just sell him for €2 million, they also included a 50% sell-on clause. For Juventus, this means that if they were to throw €25 million at him, Sassuolo would have to give half of that back. If they were to throw €30 million at him, Sassuolo would have to give half of that back. So, Juventus, in theory, are able to enter this race at a far higher degree than Leeds United are, because any attempt to purchase him is effectively 50% off. That makes it incredibly difficult, but Sassuolo will keep that in account, because at the end of the day, if we offer 25 million, we will actually give them 25 million, whereas Juventus will only give them 12.5. It's a very, very weird situation, but now to talk a little bit more about the player himself. He is a Bosnian centre-back and spent a little bit of time at the World Cup. Didn't necessarily go too well because Bosnia got knocked out by the USA, but they got out of their group and did pretty well. And let's be honest, Bosnia weren't expected to do too well in the first place, so getting out of the group is a pretty damn positive step. He is valued incredibly highly, as you can tell by the amount of interest in the guy, and in terms of the way that he plays, importantly, first of all, he's left-footed. We know that the left-footed centre-back is sort of exactly what we need, because the left-footed centre-back fills in that Pascal Struijk-shaped hole. Pascal Struijk being off to Brighton for 18 million quid. If we're able to fill that gap in for a little bit more than that, first of all, it's not a hit on the SCR. Second of all, it makes sure that we are actually sorted for a starting centre-back, and his age is also a massive benefit. Being 23 years old and in a position that we need means that once he sort of develops and spends a little bit of time at Leeds, say we give him a 5-year contract, he doesn't have to spend all that time here. Instead, we could keep him for 3 years and then sell him on for a massive increase in his value, because he's a player that clearly has a very high ceiling. Premier League centre-backs are not cheap in the slightest, and like if you have a look at Pascal Struijk as an example, 1 year left on his contract, 18 million quid came in. That's pretty huge. Ladislav Krejci came into Wolves and they're already looking to sell him for a profit, in spite of the fact that, well, he got relegated last season. This is not a bad position for us to be in terms of players that we are chasing. He's a player that we can sign, that we can turn a little bit of a profit on, and that would be absolutely spectacular. And not only is he left-footed, not only is he young, but he's a ball player. And this is important for a couple of reasons, the first of which is the fact that ball-playing centre-backs are sort of in fashion at the moment. If you have a ball-playing centre-back, that means that you're more loose in midfield, you're able to do a little bit more. Your centre-backs can run forwards a little bit without you having the fear of losing the ball, because that's something that everyone kind of does, to be honest. You're always going to be absolutely bricking it if your centre-back tries to come forwards and they're shit in possession. Meanwhile, if they can have a wander forward and Purdue slots back in a little bit, that means that you're more flexible in your build-up play and might actually have the opportunity to go to that 4 at the back that Daniel Farke discussed with Harry Wilson, reportedly at the very least. It's an interesting move, but I'm going to hit you with what is going to be one of the most depressing set of words that Leeds United fans tend to hear, and that is the fact that it's not going to be an easy one to do. Now, I don't want to hear the typical tired stuff in the comment section. I don't want to hear anyone saying that we tried FC or stretch targets FC or whatever the hell people are saying this time out. This is a player that has a ridiculously high ceiling, that has already proven himself to play at an incredibly high standard, and is wanted by Sunderland, who have European football, Bournemouth, who I think have European football, I'm not sure off the top of my head, and Juventus, who have European football, potentially Champions League football. I don't know. I wasn't following Serie A that closely last season. I know bits and bobs, but I've had to specifically ask one of DAZN's Italian-focused people about this guy because it sort of came out of nowhere. In the event that we do not sign him, do not be losing your mind. Do not be doing the whole... Oh, I'll zoom in a little bit because I think I'm a little bit wide there. There we go. Don't be doing the whole, oh, see, we're always going for targets that we can't get. Odds are there are people further down that list of targets. If he's the number one target and we are able to get him, that is absolutely spectacular. It'll be a brilliant signing. But if we don't get him, that's fine. It doesn't need to be a big worry. At the end of the day, Juventus can, in theory, throw £50 million on paper at this guy and still match a £25 million bid because of a 50% sell-on. I imagine that isn't going to be the case. I imagine Sassuolo will want to have as much money as possible in their coffers. But it's a difficult one. In the event that there weren't this big sort of sell-on clause and Juventus didn't have this massive decision to make, I would be far more confident. But the fact that that does exist, and the fact that it exists for Juventus, of all clubs, which is a very, very big side, it makes it tricky. And it puts it into the territory of, if it doesn't work out for us, it doesn't work out for us. At the end of the day, this guy is an incredible footballer. He's 23, he's making a massive mark in Serie A. He's made a massive mark for his country by consistently playing in the Bosnian national team. And there's a reason that we're looking at him as a Struijk replacement. Because if we weren't looking at him, I would be a little bit disappointed in our scouting team. But we are, and that's what counts. And that Struijk replacement will come. And as with all the other roles that we need, we'll get another left-back, we'll get another centre-back, we will get another goalkeeper. Or two, depending on what goes on with Lucas Perry. I think if Perry stays, we only get one. I think if Perry goes, we get two. But it's a little bit complicated. We've complicated it for ourselves a little bit. But at the end of the day, I am as confident as ever in the 49ers. I know that they will do what they need to do. I imagine if the price gets a little bit too high, we probably go, okay, maybe not. But in addition to the Shea Charles news that we had a little bit earlier, I think the Muharovic, I'm going to get that spot on from memory at least once. Muharovic, there we go. I think that move is another really strong start to the window. If we start the window with Charles, Muharovic and Wilson, I think we're setting up for a very, very good transfer window, and I think we will do that anyway. So I'm very, very optimistic. And you come on, you guys know me. Optimism's the thing that I do. So let's just smash it. Let's smash the window. England, let's smash Norway. That'd be quite nice. Anyway, I didn't end up going to the pub because plans changed, so we'll see. Anyway, whatever, I'm going to call it there. If you enjoyed the video, pop a like on it. That'd be lovely. Subscribe, become a channel member, all that kind of fun stuff. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo.